Last night, my uncle told me that I was going to marry Marcus. He didn't ask me. It was a statement. What he decrees is done, even if it's marrying his niece off to the highest bidder. Somehow, I had convinced myself that this day would never come, that he would see my medical training as a bigger priority than increasing the island's population. Not that it's all about that. No. A woman is precious for the man who owns her. Giving me to a man means my uncle will get something in return. Power, influence, loyalty. And apparently, that's more important than having a healer to care for his people. At least I'm not a child bride. I got to wait until a week after my 20th birthday to be given the good news. Lucky me. Sometimes I wish I had cousins that he could impose his wishes on, then maybe I'd be left alone. But he never managed to father any children himself. Perhaps I should be happy about that. Yesterday evening, after he told me, he locked me in my room. It doesn't have windows. My uncle is too clever for that. He knows I wouldn't stay if I didn't have to. Besides our shared blood, there's nothing that binds me to him. There are very few people who have been allowed to leave the island. Usually men who found a woman somewhere else and who promised to send back resources. Sometimes they even managed to swap for a woman from a mostly female island. Not every place was as predominantly male like ours. And then there were the people who left without permission. I know of only two. George was in his late 40s and became my uncle's main adversary. He didn't agree with his way of ruling the island. George wanted a democracy rather than tyranny, but of course my uncle didn't like that way of thinking. So one night George disappeared, taking one of the boats. We found his body washed up on the beach a few days later. I still don't know if he left and capsized or if he was killed. Knowing my uncle, I almost suspect the latter. The other person to escape was Julie. As a child, I looked up to her, even though she was only a few years older. But to me, she was perfect. She came up with the most amazing games and wasn't above playing a trick on the adults. My parents had died not long before, and she showed me the love and kindness that I thought I had lost. When I got older, she became my friend. We did everything together. My uncle didn't like it. I think he disapproved of me being seen running around freely rather than being the demure little niece he wished he had. He restricted the time I was allowed to play more and more, but whenever I managed to sneak outside, I would seek out Julie. When she turned 16, however, my uncle announced that she was to be married. She refused. Her mother did, too, but as a woman, she had no say in it. Julie's father had died during the drowning, and as a single mother, she was the lowest of the low. My uncle decided to indulge the men of the island by organizing an auction, with Julie as the prize. 10 men bid on her in the most humiliating ceremony I have ever witnessed. She was standing on the stage in the community hall, trembling, while the men were leering at her like a prized cow. I was standing at the back of the crowd, crying silent tears at seeing my friend so humiliated. She had always been the strong one, but now she had been reduced to a whimpering girl in the tight grip of my uncle. The man who won her didn't wait for a marriage ceremony. He took her home straight away, his friends cheering him on while he grabbed her by the hair, pulling her down the street. I cried all night. The next morning, she didn't leave her new husband's house, nor the next. On the 3rd day, I sneaked in through a window. She was lying on the stained bed, her arm tied to a bedpost. Bruises were covering her face and there was blood on the pillows. Her eyes were full of shame, and no matter how often I told her that everything was going to be okay, neither of us believed it. I cut her loose and she gave me a shaking hug before climbing out of the window. She disappeared, and so did one of the boats. My uncle was furious. He didn't have proof that I had freed Julie, but he punished me for it anyway. And he promised the man who had mistreated Julie so badly that he would get another woman instead. And today, he made true on his promise. The woman is going to be me.